came all together. So we need to find the balance and ensure that no matter what we do, we try to put them on the right path. So yeah, we are going to do our best.
We stand for Africa.
It's another AFCON 2022 edition, and AH Cafe is supporting the Black Stars to victory with a predicted win promo. All roads leads to AH Cafe at North Ridge for all match days. Predict the scores for each match. Win amazing prizes from t-shirt, lunch for 2, dinner for 2, pool voucher, gym voucher, or a nice stay for 2. Win the Black Stars Prediction Award on Ghana Match Day. First correct prediction gets an instant combo of sandwich and coke served at AH Cafe. To enter the promo, watch the match live at AH Cafe. As you interact with seasoned journalists, we will take your predictions. 5 prizes to be won on each match day. Proudly supported by AH Hotel and Conference, Metro TV, Original TV, Regional FM, Appointed Time Printing. See you at AH Cafe this season.
Everybody come together as one.
How do you find the balance in this case of having to raise a child?
Okay, let me share in her case where I am the guy who is always on the go. 1 minute an artist is calling you, the next minute another person is calling you, and you are not available for them, and all of that. You know, I was raised just like a face issue, and yeah, I think maybe it's a Volta thing. So yeah, and coupled with mine too, I went to a military school, cabaret school complex. So you can't mess around. You have no excuses for anything at all. And also at home, my mom, I was raised by a single mother proudly, and she actually taught me how to be independent myself at a very, very early stage. So she helped me to actually parent myself. Even before I was a teenager, I knew how to go around things, how to make my laundry, how to cook, how to clean, and all of that. And if you don't do it, she'll come to the school and report you. And it's a military school. Yeah. So all of that has shaped me that, okay. And I have a saying that the things that we learned late as adults, let's teach our children early. Yeah. So that's my tagline.
Including sex.
Oh, yes. Because that was when they get
education. They said I should add.
You see, when they get to a level that you can have that conversation with them, and they have that open mindset, have that conversation with them. I can show you my phone. I have a playlist for my son.
Okay.
The foundation music I listen to, those are the things that influence me into the future. So, because if you don't teach them at home, they'll go and learn elsewhere. Yeah. We have musicians now, especially in Ghana, they don't do music that is geared towards children. It's always adult content. Yeah. So,
adult music.
And I am in that space, and I know how horrible it is. So I have to curate a playlist, a movie list, and even some of the cartoons that he would watch. I always make sure I curate all these things. Even when my mom is listening to radio, his mom is listening to radio, and it's adult content, I tell them to switch the channel or tune off.
Let me pause you there and ask you a question. There was a comment that came somewhere here.
Yes.
That kids are all different. They are very unique in every way.
Yes.
Mrs. Godema explained how all the 3 kids are so different in a way.
Yes.
No matter how good you try to be so perfect with your raising, where you select the kind of songs you listen to, the kind of things you watch and all that, don't you think whatever he came with will still have an impact on him, no matter what you do?
Okay, there's an era proverb that says that the leaves is actually bent, or you try to find a shape for it when they are fresh and green. You don't wait till they are dry before you try to do that. So I am a very liberal person. I try to understand him from his perspective, psychologically, physically, and everything. So I try to always meet him halfway. Okay. I even told everybody at home that, hey, if he does something wrong, don't be too quick to say, I'll beat you. It gets into their head and they become very rebellious.
Yes.
instead of telling them, I'll beat you, pull them aside and tell them, okay, do this instead of this. And those things, they pick it very quickly, more quickly than you being radical or rebellious against them. That was how we were raised. We don't have to necessarily raise them that way. Yeah. I'm somebody of an ancient mindset. I say my code is ancient future. We are in a digital space, we are in a digital world, but I'm the guy who will not give you access to everything because we are in a digital world. Yeah. I'll make sure you learn from the analog at the digital. Yeah. He's a small boy. He's not going to 3 years, but I try. I'm not always there, but and sometimes when I visit, I try to come unannounced. So he's not aware I'll be coming around. So I just come unannounced. You know, sometimes
like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's good. You can tell by his hair. So you wanted to say something. So let me continue. Alright, sure.
I wanted to add to
Okay.
to add to what Na was saying. You see, with regards to the fact that she leaves her children with her mom, and then she gets complaints that the children are misbehaving and stuff like that. Now, what I have realized is that, you see, in our time, for those of us who had the opportunity to either spend vacations with our grandparents or live with our grandparents raised us as though they were raising their children. That is our parents. They didn't raise us as the babies. They were not.
The raised us like adults.
Yes, they didn't. You know, it wasn't like they weren't pampering towards us. Of course, you can get away with sweets and stuff like that, but when it has to do with the discipline, the upbringing, the principles that they raised our parents, their children with, it wasn't different from us. The pattern, the thoughts, the orientation was the same. So whatever was instilled in your parents, be it your mother or your father, your grandparents instilled it in you. Unfortunately, what I've noticed is that for our generation, okay, some of our parents have become the solace to our children. And for some reason, they have lost that sense of
Strictness.
not strictness per se, but okay, so this is it. You know, our grandparents felt that we were an extension of their children, so we were their last borns. Yeah. Our parents do not have that kind of orientation. Do you get it? So our parents see our children as their grandchildren, and so they want to be the favorites of our children. And so that kind of discipline and that kind of upbringing that our grandparents gave to us, we as an extension of being their children, our parents are not giving it to our children. And that is the reason why your mother would call you in school and tell you that your children are misbehaving. Like in whose house?
We are summoning our parents.
In whose house? Like for instance, I mean, I go for vacation in my grand-uncle's house. I mean, growing up at my grand-uncle's place or my grandmother's place, and I'm misbehaving, and I'm on vacation. My mother is in Accra, and they'll pick telephone and call, like, making you, Abama. You get it?
Who born your mother?
Even the discipline you receive in your grandparents' home, your mother's own is even soft. You get the point I'm making. I mean, your grandparents' home, you have to wake up every dawn and do house chores. By 4:30, you are awake and you are doing house chores. Your mother's home, then you can wake up like 5:30, 6 o'clock. You have to do your house chores for her, but she's not going to kick you out of bed that you should wake up and do chores. But in your grandparents' house, if you're a human being, sleep till it's daybreak, then you will know that indeed somebody born your mother.
All right, thank you. Let me take.
For kids and for ourselves as well.
Right, so I mean, we can go on and on and on and on about this, but so we're gonna move. Okay, I think we should just stick with this same conversation because if I move on to another one, we might not be able to exhaust
this very one. So I'll still allow some few more comments on that. So we're going to do, I earlier on said we're going to do two topics. We're going to stick with just this one, talk about it. So, Elom, I'll allow you.
Yes. So just to add to what my sister said about career paths or directing career paths, I'm one of the big but hidden victims of that, and I'm actually waiting for a certain platform to go deep into that. I come from a family where almost everybody is an introvert. So to have a kid growing up trying to break out of that shell to be an extrovert was quite difficult. And I was the only child between my parents. And now I'm being raised by a single mother. So when she's going for work on a hustle, there's basically nobody. Finally, that was how I was able to develop myself creatively. So I stuck to writing. Instead of talk to people, I would rather write things back to myself. So that was how I was able to parent myself or grow myself out of that shell. Fast forward, I was going to secondary school, senior high school. My teacher actually said, "Oh, you there, Charlie? You know book. The course they go do the no. Jokingly, he decided to change all my course to science business. So I never get to go to my first choice school, my second choice, and my third choice. Yes.
Because you filled all the signs.
I had no, I actually passed. So I had yes. Biherco, I couldn't go to Biherco. I couldn't go to Maoli school. I couldn't go to Sparkle. I was home for almost 2 months. And I needed to make a decision. Otherwise, Charlie, your single mother the house will get to boy, they could laugh your mother say. So I had to struggle my way and opt for another school. And when I went there, they said, okay, we had your third choice school, your option was science. So we can only was business. So we can only give you business. You can't do arts or whatever I want to do. I was having a business perspectives in a general arts class for 2 weeks. Like, I don't want to make this to be a lengthy one. So I managed my way to change the course and still do my general arts. For a whole year, I was not bringing my reports back home, not because I failed, because of the decision I took. After the first year, when the family got to know that I changed my course, they stopped paying my fees. I had to pay my fees from second year, first term till. And in the second year, this stubborn boy go collect best literature students. Now that they're happy. So there are so many children who go through these things. They don't have people to actually direct their career paths. Psychologically, emotionally, they go with so many things. So many suicide stories at tertiary schools. It's because of some of these things.
All right. So I'm taking a cue from what we've said so far. It looks like grandmothers and teachers, as he said, and some other external factors also have an impact on how our kids are raised. How are we as parents managing this? Let me start with the parents here. External factors, grandmothers, teachers, and all that. They all play parts of the child growth.
If you want your child to be able to go abroad and work in a corporate environment and earn correct money, pay correct taxes, you must chart the path for that. If you want him to go and only wash dishes, then you have also started from here. There is a way you must raise a child if you want the child to be able to fit internationally. Now, this is based on the premise that we agree that internationally, that is where the money is. If you want to say it is in Ghana that money is, fine. Raise your child on the Kumkum budget and those things that espouse certain types of living. Fine, it is your choice. But don't forget that you are responsible for how your child turns out. If you want your child to immediately move from Ghana, end up in the Netherlands, or end up in the US, and is immediately employable with a social security number, with enough money to buy a house, you must know that it must be intentional, and there must be certain things you must do. It is not something to argue with. So let that be in your mind before you chant the path for your child. And I don't think that's
All right, so We're still talking about the external factors. So I think prior to even starting this conversation, we had a few conversations earlier regarding kids, and from what I've been gathering, it's easy for them to even go to this Telegram. I'm told everything is over there. Social media has made things so easy for kids to assimilate when you are not even watching. Now the latest, there's TikTok also. The latest thing that has also erupted that everybody is having a conversation about is LGBTQI thing. How are you as parents managing this in your homes? Let me start with you for
I'm a teacher, and I deal with children from 0 to 6 years. And sometimes we try to, for instance, I try to just like let the children feel that I'm not there. I am not a teacher, though I'm a supervisor, but sometimes when a teacher is not around, I see him. And when I'm in the class, all the children, hey, I'm here for half can. Active for yesterday when you were not here, Kofi and Fifi went to the washroom. And so what happened? Auntie, they were hugging. And the other two boys, they said, two boys that I don't like. He said, hey, no, Lauricia and Felix, they kick us out. How? Do anything for you. Come and tell me something. So you see, when I'm in the class, they are excited. They tell me things. But after all this, I said, no, you know something. Who buys food for you? They say, Daddy bought food. I said, fine. If Daddy buys food for you, how can you also go and buy food for Lauricia? You don't even have money to buy food for Lauricia. So there is time for everything. When Lauricia is like 20 years, 25 years, they are also 20 years and 25 years, then you can go and kiss Lauricia. Now in KG2, we don't kiss.
So 0 to 6.
Yes.
You are doing this.
Yes. And the two boys who want to the washroom, you tomorrow, when Salasi wake up that he's going to washroom, you will not go to washroom. Auntie, no. Then they will come and tell you the truth. Auntie, no, I didn't sit on him. Oh, Auntie, I just went to open the door and I wanted to see who was in the washroom. And it was Fifi. I said, we don't do that. Two boys cannot go and be in the washroom. Fifi will go, and afterwards, Salasi will come. Two boys don't hug. Don't even hug the girls. So it is for mommy and daddy. Wait, when you people are grown, then you can have. Because the children, I don't know where they get ideas from.
They tell us to as well.
You see the external thing I'm talking about? He said he was not going to talk again. he said he won't talk again, but
now we've gone off the main topic. We've gone into another very passionate area of mine. Let me say it here, and I'm on record. There is an intentional agenda to recruit our children to accept homosexuality
From the
as
Netflix and everything.
at the risk of being termed any.
That was what I was going to say. So
I will say that I don't think there is any parent who gives birth with the desire of the child turning out to be homosexual. Understand that there is an intentional agenda. Is it because of the Trans-African? There is a more targeted agenda in the content that is in our TV, even as young as to portray the image that, it is okay for all that. We must also then counteract if we feel it is not right. There is that also intentional fact that we must also put to ensure that our children do not imbibe some of those.
So I think that with the education must go on. And I don't know about anybody's system of view because, like my brother said, I don't know what is this liberality thing about. Because even animals, male animals don't sleep with male animals. So why are we saying that we should leave our kids to choose their sexuality that they want? So if your son or daughter comes to you and say that, oh, I feel in my body that I'm a goat. I'm going to take you to be transformed into a goat.
You should allow it.
You should allow it. No, this is total madness. So I think that we should teach, we should not bring religion into this. Me, I'm a very serious religious person. But I think that we should not bring religion into this. But let children know what is wrong and what is right and what you are supposed to do and what you are not supposed to, because there are certain things that are natural laws.
Yes.
Because in the Bible, you see, Obama quite a doba. What ne quite da from Anoman ne quite the real internet ye ba me saying in Obama quite the Obama.
There's another teacher here. So how are you also managing with these issues in school? You're a parent at the same time, a teacher. How are you managing this?
We talk about it in class. Sometimes it comes up, but I can't go on record and say much about it.
Okay.
Because of the position.
Okay.
But when it comes to my children, I have realized that my youngest, again, knows what gayism is. And
Even the youngest
it's shocking.
is about
Yeah,
7.
and it's so shocking. The last time, I think it's barely 2 weeks when he entered my bedroom. And then I was watching a meal in my bedroom, and then something like that came up. So I quickly wanted to switch the thing off. Mommy, look at what they are doing. It's a boy and a boy kissing. It's gay. I was like, who taught you that? I was so shocked. And we talk, but I find it difficult expressing. The only thing I tell them is it's not good. Okay? And then I tried to refer him to one time I was going to pick him up from school. He was very young. I searched, I couldn't find him, and then I found him like feeding a girl chocolates. So I always take him back to that. I'm not saying it's good, but I go like, do you remember the day we were coming to look for your name? Yes, that's how it's supposed to be. I try to do that.
Sway him off from.
To sway him off for this thing. It's a difficult topic for me.
Yeah.
Sincerely. Okay. Raising boys, it is very difficult. I really don't know how to talk to them about such things. As for that one, I'll say it. I find it very difficult talking to them about such. Okay. So I'll leave there.
Anybody want to take a bite on that?
I'll say that with the external factors, not necessarily being our relatives, but social media, phones, and all that. Children are privy to a lot of information that we have no idea. And moving back to this LGBTQ, it's a long abbreviation. I, for one, have not really opened that conversation with my daughter because it's a very sensitive topic. But I also pick cues. For example, if we are watching a movie and then there is this thing that comes in, and she's like, mommy, but these people, then I realize her opinion on that. So it gives me an assurance that, okay, she knows that it's supposed to be between a boy and a girl. And then she tells me, mommy, I have a crush on this boy. I'm like, hey, on the number you're there. When you are 18, I will select you, bring all of them to me, and then I'll select one for you. Because I know better, but even, it's quite a very difficult subject because you don't also want to come across like homophobic or anything, but you know your values. So my value as a mother is that because I have sex with a man, that's why you are here. I didn't have sex with a woman, okay? And that being that aside, it's biblical. Or if you choose not to even go that way, because maybe she might not want to go the biblical way, it's only reasonable that you don't toe the line of society all the time. You have to have your personal values. And so my value is what has brought me this far. And if you appreciate who I am as your mother, you're definitely going to toe that line whilst looking for your own, but it should be in sync. There should be some kind of synergy. Thank you. So yeah, that's just what I think. But aside all these worldly things, we should imbibe in them some values that they cannot do away with, and that is what's going to lead them when we are not even around.
Anybody else? Sorry.
After that.
I feel that, you see, one thing, society, when it comes to raising kids, I don't have any children yet, but you don't need to have children before knowing what to teach them. Kids, your child will be at home. The time they spend outside is more than the time they spend with you. They spend a lot of time in school with friends than the time they spend with you. So you should know that if you're not careful, society will teach your child instantly if you don't develop that kind of relationship with your children. So for me, when this LGBTQ issue came up, it's not even
Endorse.
when that issue came up, I just said to myself, if I had children, I'll just tell you. Because some of the schools, if you're not careful, they might try to also wash it in the way that will be appealing to the kids. So that child is your child in the first place. So me, I'll tell you, look, that thing is wrong. It's wrong. No boy goes kissing a boy. It's wrong. It's biblically wrong. No girl goes kissing a girl. When you're caught doing that, society will frown on you. Your friends will laugh at you. There are places you can't go. You can't feel free to go to certain places. So in the first place, it's wrong. So whenever such issues come up, I feel that parents should in the first place begin to instill values in their children first, because this is what you've heard outside. So you should be the first approach to your children. Teach points of contact. Teach them that this thing is wrong. I think that you shouldn't even be too lenient about it or try to be too diplomatic about it. Go straight to the point. It's wrong. Wrong is wrong. Don't do it. Even when teacher tells you, if you were my child and you come to me, I'll tell you that if teacher tells you, tell teacher that it's wrong, nobody will arrest you.
But now I begin to realize that some of the kids cry when you tell them something, they say much said. So your thoughts is.
So that's why you should have that rapport with your child.
Okay.
You understand? That's why you should always draw your children closer to you. I always say that someday I'll be so proud when my child goes out and says that Daddy taught me this, Daddy taught me that, Daddy taught me that. Even probably how to ride a motorbike, how to do something. I learned it from that. When you have that relationship with your children, they tend to trust you more than you. So when you say something to them, your words will override that of what they hear from outside.
Yeah, I think beyond that also is proving to children and aspirants you know. You see, as we all grow, and this is something, a trait with all of us. When I associate with you over time, and I realize that you don't have interest in the things I have interest in, or you don't have a little bit more knowledge in the things I am interested in, I do not take your words. So when you say something, I would weigh it against another person that I feel has knowledge. So if we would go a little bit more, get a little bit interested in the things that our children are learning. Now when we speak, and when they go to school, they weigh their teachers over what the parent says. Because they know you're the parent. They know that if push comes to shove, you are there. The teacher will be gone. So when we show a little bit more interest, that trust comes. And now they weigh what they hear outside from. But I want to agree with Elom as well that we should talk to children. Sometimes I think we are behaving like what our parents did to us. I was telling them earlier, I was taught sexual education, I think class 5, 6. But my parents sitting at home make it look like you don't know what sex education was, what sex is. and they would wait, you're 18 or 20 or something. I mean, by that time, how many years ago? If I wanted to, if I want to go anything, I would have done it. Yes, I would have done it anyway. So we should be very intentional about it. Let's talk to the kids. I had the privilege of staying with a younger lady earlier, and I realized that she was a bit all over the place. So one day I texted her. I said, "Okay, this is what you're going to do every morning. Go to at least 3 news portals. I'm not going to read the news. Go and give me information from there." And I gave her a book to read. Sister, I was like, it's not that I don't like you. You are dating a guy who's very knowledgeable. You're a pretty girl. Now, if you don't match up, he would marry you perhaps. But once you become a trophy wife, he would go with you to his friends. The first time they will love you because you're pretty, you dress well, all that. But after a while, the conversation was going. But there are things boys don't do. They're shallow. There are things boys don't do. They are diplomatic. But also, then there could be one stubborn boy for inside who you go talk. As he talk, your husband will put you for house. But you wouldn't want that. So then she understands and starts reading. Now when we do that to kids listen. I think sometimes we are scared as parents. It is fine because it's a delicate thing. You don't know what will trigger them to be aware and all that. But I think we should do it. When it triggers something, then we know that maybe we should do it this way. But when we totally are off, I don't think it really helps. Then are some of the external factors that help, and especially with guiding kids. Maybe because our kids are more exposed, maybe under 3 years, allow the kid to be. I think sometimes we overburden ourselves as parents. There was a guy that is into human capacity building who puts on Facebook, let's say, that his career day at school, the girl wanted to do that thing, ballerina or something. Ballet. Yeah. And he was like, oh, I'm not going to allow that kid. So he put himself on Facebook. And for me, I was shocked because he's doing human capacity building. I didn't expect that from him. But I understand the society is in. So I'll call back and forth. I agree for her to do. She's a kid. She's like 1 year, 1.5. We worry ourselves. Let's allow the kids to grow to a point where they can even explain why they are choosing what. When we're growing up, my kid brother, super brilliant. He wanted to do science. But I don't know how to draw. And like Kofi said, it is out of poverty. So my mom comes to me, Mom Kofi. He's also Kofi said, what is he doing? Mem said, oh, don't you ever want them more? What can you say? Oh, to me, at me, Messica. You see, she was worried because art is a lot of money and it's expensive. So she's worried. As oh yes, the kind of farmer. Like you worried. The guy doesn't even want to do art, but he loves that. He plays the piano now. He's an artistic person, but he's doing electrical engineering, so he's still in the sciences. So I think that to a point, let's allow. And again, like office, let's allow kids to enjoy their childhood, to enjoy being kids. And they will be fine. Well, whatever you wanted to do, class 5, you had different things we wanted to do. Today, we are doing different things. 5 years from now, we'll come back and be doing different things. Yeah. So let's allow them to go.
Today she's a nurse, tomorrow she's a doctor, tomorrow she's a
Okay, so with me, it's been difficult to open up when it comes to this LGBTQ, whatever. I've never been able to talk to my son about it. But then, I'm intentional about what I make him watch. I don't allow him to watch TV unless it's news. When it's news, you are allowed to come and watch. And I make him listen to Joy FM every morning. That's my station. That's the station I listen to. So he's even addicted to it. When I took him to my dad's place, he has a young phone. I don't want to give him the
Android or
yes, because he's very intelligent and the things he knows. I'm even scared, So when he went to my dad, he called me. He made my dad call me because he didn't have credit on his phone and was like, "Mommy, please, my earpiece is missing, so please buy one for me so that I can be listening to the radio." So sometimes you have to be intentional. I don't allow him to, have the freedom to watch the things that he's not supposed to watch. If it is not news, unless I'm there and I think the movie is good for him to watch, then you are not going to watch. And when it comes to relationships, I remember there was a day he was like, he told my best friend that there's these 3 girls in my father's area. I'm feeling the palm. He said, my best friend told me, hey! So I went to my dad, I told my dad, hey, do you know that my mom says that there are some 3 girls in the area that feels him? Then my dad called him. I was like, which girls are in the area that, no, it's just the next house. And in Colorado, Mohoko school, my minimum would be 15, it is time for
What town? What town? So yeah.
So girls, when I was young, now when after he takes his bath, who come no jina mirror anymore?
Hey.
Yeah. I pray that there will be a point where I'll be able to educate him on all this. But I know that he knows that a boy and a boy is wrong. Yes, and I remember there was a day my best friend was like, you marry an Obolo, because my best friend is Obolo. Then your husband is Obolo. You marry a no, me, I don't want Obolo. I will marry someone like my mom.
So with all that we are all saying when it comes to this very sensitive matter, we also have to take into consideration that we have to love our children no matter what, which is what every parent preaches. So my dilemma or whatever it is that what if one day your child comes to you and tells you that I'm a girl and I have feelings for a girl? How is it going to be taken? I'm a boy, I have feelings for a boy. Are you going to love the child through it and allow the child to be? Because we are all here preaching that we should allow the children to be. We should allow the children to grow up the way they say.
So that's
it's a huge,
I have tried severally just to, tip my daughter's mind, just to find out. Because she's 15. So I like to find out whether she fancies someone. I ask her and she goes like, You ask her about a boy, and she goes like, Then I am asking myself, is it that it is a boy is not nice? Or
she's not interested.
You are not interested in a boy, or
she's not ready to be in a relationship.
She's not wanting to have a conversation with you.
Yes. Yeah. When she was, my case is slightly different because she didn't really stay with you. So when she was growing up, there was a lot of time between us. But when she reached a certain age, then I think things went haywire. But I tried as much as possible to bridge the gap. Now, when she was a little girl growing up, she could tell me everything. Maybe there was this boy she was fancying when she was in primary school, she could tell me hello. You hello, say.
There's another one.
I also have a
No. This place is diluted with lumps.
I always ask her about hello, and she would say something nice, but I got to a point that apparently they had some bad thoughts. When you ask about him, then she'll just go like, I knew that that relationship is fine. Fast forward, growing as she grew older, she was like 10 years. The bond and the relationship between she and I were still there. And that was my very first time I had this issue of having to speak about sex. And it's one of the craziest things that any parent can do. Because I found my daughter watching porn. It's not like she found the porn on my phone and she was watching. She actually typed that herself. Some of these schools that they go to, And at the time, she didn't have a phone. I always told her, for me, I'm not going to give you a phone until I see good grades. But her mom decided to give her a phone otherwise. So she typed it, and she was actually, she got connected my phone, was playing game, and I could hear the sound. And all of a sudden, everything goes down. So I think,
What sound was that?
the video.
The video game, not the other game.
A call came through, and she had to give me the phone. So when the call came, I didn't even wait for her to even try to mute the sound. I just shook my hand back, and then she gave me the phone. When the call was done, and
Jesus.
then I asked her, write the name. Even though she's watching, she tells me she's not the one watching.
It's a smartphone. It actually can browse itself.
I find myself in this quagmire where I don't know, do I give her the talk? Do I just discipline her? Or do I just ignore the whole situation? It was crazy.
Yes.
For 2 weeks, I couldn't sleep. I was browsing through Google, finding out just how to speak to a child about sex. Luckily for me, I remember that my mom is a public health nurse, and they go about doing this kind of talks all the time. So I decided I didn't want to tell my mom because I didn't want, like you said, the grandparents of today, they find their grandchildren as pets. She was very lovable to my parents, so I didn't want probably, and I know my mom, she's some way. She would definitely, take not brush it aside, but she would take some attitude at the kids, and I didn't want that situation, so I didn't know how to go about it. But later I found out that look, where I'm hitting the brick wall, so the best thing to do is to speak to her, and she was able to break the ice for me. From there, after she had done that, I think I got the confidence to speak to her. So, in a nutshell, our kids are developing in ways that, look, we can't control everything or anything. Maybe anything. We give them the chance to do whatever they want. Like choosing her school for SS. It took 6 months before she was able to tell me, finally, okay, I want Achimota. At first, which school do you want to go to? I didn't want to, lord it over her. She would tell me she doesn't know. Then I asked, which child doesn't, in GSS 3, doesn't know the school she wants to go to? It beats my mind. But, well, maybe she knew what she was doing because currently she's not in Ghana. So probably she knew that she was going to go. I didn't know she was going to go, but maybe that was the situation. But when she even got there and I called her to find out which school you want to go to when I had to fill it, there she told me, okay, she wasn't go to Western Girls anymore, but she would like to go to Achimota School. Then I gave her the options and she gave me which options she would take. I looked at it and I was like, okay, it's cool. And I put it in. So I've given her the room to operate, but I've still, covered my hand like they say a chicken would, allow her chicks to walk around, but definitely the mother hen is always around to wrap them and protect them. So I believe that in as much as we allow them to, be liberal and have a free range, we should always be very mindful of whatever you do. Okay. That way, you can have a peace of mind. Otherwise,
thank you. All right. So a quick, last one. Let me take the last one.
So for me, my take is basically on the sensitive issue about the alphabet community.
Renaming.
Alphabet community. Okay. So for me, I think one thing I have observed over a period of time is that during our time when we were growing up, we did some. I mean, there were people in the communities that did mommy and daddy and all that kind of
Papa and mommy.
and things like that. Our parents and grandparents and the community at large was very,
It
was an eyesore. It was something they would not tolerate. I mean, what betides you if even a total stranger, not even a neighbor, catches, children indulging in such activities? You'll be beaten first before they would ask where your house is. Do you understand? But what I have found out today is that in this current dispensation, because of the subtle influence of the alphabet community and how they are sneaking it into children programming, okay, I have realized that and because we don't even have an understanding, and for me to some extent, I think that even the alphabet people themselves in our community do not have a better insight and understanding of what their own identity and of what it is they are doing. And for me, oh yes, I mean, it's a different conversation we'll have at another time. But the point is, what I've also come to realize is that we've come to a dispensation where adults do no longer find it an eyesore to see a male toddler and a female toddler, or a male child and a male child having intercourse or being sexual. They don't find it an eyesore. What they find even most an eyesore, what they rather find an eyesore, is to find two male children or two female children, be them toddlers or young children, engaging in sexual activity. That they find an eyesore. But what used to be an eyesore during our time, when we were growing up, that we could be totally beaten by a stranger, today, it is not an eyesore. So that should tell you the extent to which this, yes, it's gotten out of hand. And the extent to which parents do not even have control anymore. To the point that what is not accepted has now become accepted in the sense that what we were once disciplined for, parents are happy to see it.
Because you want to be
So a parent, yes, so once they see that their children are indulging in sexual activities with the opposite sex, rather than disciplining the child like children were disciplined, they'll let it go because they're happy now. They know that, oh, my child does not indulge in alphabet activities. Exactly. And for me, I think that is where we've got to now. And forget about human rights and whatever right. Let's sit down and have a proper conversation.
They're not ready.
Pardon? True.
Okay.
And for me, I think that's why
I was going to wrap up on that, but I haven't given Ellen. The question is not answered.
Yeah, 20 seconds.
She said that when you're
I'm counting.
So my on the next question as to when your child should come that I'm having
Telling you that,
for the same sex. I think as a parent, make your stance clear. I have had the opportunity of dealing with a younger person who was into some drug abuse. And I say that as long as I am around, I don't want to see you do it. You can have a decision what you want to do. But as long as I'm around, I don't want to see it. Maybe I'm a bit lazy first sometimes, but as a parent, make the child have your stance. Yes. You love the child. You can't throw the child away. So there's a case of Bobrisky going back to his father's party, and he has to strip and dress like a man. Yes. And goes to the house because his father says you are a man, and as a man I want to see. So he's out of the house. Yes, he's above 21 years, he's an adult. That's whatever he wants to do. Claims to be a woman. But when he needed to go back to his father, he goes as a man. So when you have that clear to the child, then from there you guide the child out of it. But you need to set boundaries, and they need to understand that those are your values. So the larger society makes it a little bit difficult. We understand. But when they come home, this is how it is. It is my house, my values. You are my child. And we shouldn't be apologetic about it.
I can actually feel it is the discomfort, when the conversation was going on. It's every parent's scary idea. It's not like something we don't, parents don't think about. We think about it every time. Okay, secretly, and we want that because the way society keeps changing by the second. 10 years ago, Android was what? Nexus 1 or something. That was released and it was a big deal, but then we use someone Nexus 1 now. So, 10 years down the line, we've moved so far and advanced. So parents do think about it. But at the end of the day, my question is this: when does a child stop being your child and really becomes an adult who has to be responsible for his or her actions? And so yeah, we can do all we want to do for our children, okay, but at some point they have to be responsible for what they do.
Yeah.
And that does not make me
a bad parent. No.
And that does not mean that I not love you. I still love my kids. Hopefully they turn out very well. But whatever the case is, if I said we should really dive into it, but I'm sorry. Sometimes I need to read a bit of the scriptures. That even though we're yet sinners, God still loves us. God doesn't stop loving us because. Are we permitting? Is it okay if my daughter, God forbid, becomes very promiscuous and is laying all the guys around, married and unmarried and stuff? Am I happy because she's not doing it with another lady? Is that acceptable?
Mm-hmm. That's what Benita was trying to do.
You understand? Is that acceptable? Because my 20-something-year-old child is fine sleeping with people's spouses and all that, and she's fine, she's not getting on of her own. So is that fine? That's absolutely fine because she's not doing it with, or my son. If my son decides to lay all the ladies in his area, is that fine? Is that fine because he's not doing it with another guy? Do we love them less than that? Okay, or do we love a child who is heterosexual more than a child who is homosexual? I think at some point, see, like I said, my mind is made up. My children are given to me for me to nurture them for what they want to become. You understand? So if we just continue to do our business, at some point we realize that we have to give their life to them for them to live. Our parents have given our lives to us to live, to make our own choices. At some point we would have to rather do that to our own children. So it's difficult, all right. It's very uncomfortable, okay, but sometimes your best plan for your child doesn't happen the way you want.
Yeah.
And you still have to love them.
Yeah.
Let me talk your final thoughts from Elon, and then we'll get to wrap up on that.
No matter how best you think you've raised.
No, before you continue though, how is you have a son, right?
Yes.
How is he seeing the difference between you having a long hair and a lady having a long hair? And he's not confused about it, and he thinks that it's normal.
I was expecting this question for a long time.
Finally, I did ask.
Yes. So, like I said, I'm a very liberal-minded fellow, but I'm principled as well. So, my hair extends beyond fashion and whatever. It's my identity, not just in showbiz, but as an African. I align to that. Beyond Rasta, whatever, that's my spirituality. I believe in spirituality more than religion, and that is my conviction. But I don't impose even that on my child. So I was taken to the barbers, and the barber will be looking at me and be like, you have dreads and you can't cut it. He has to have that free will to go the way he has to go. But I have to guide him on what.
Let him be the child he has to be.
Yes, and what he's comfortable with. No disrespect, for some time now, you won't find me in the church. Not because I don't respect the church, but because of my path that I've decided to 6-7 journeys. That's why you wouldn't frequently find me there. Not because I don't believe in the Bible. I believe in the Bible. I believe in the Quran. I believe in a lot of holy books because I try to read wide. So fast forward. I don't have to say, okay, because I have dreadlocks, so he also has to have dreadlocks. Then again, there's a jurisdiction where you have public schools and private schools. recently we saw what happened with Archie to school.
Mhm.
In my case, if those kids were my children, it was a bad situation for them to be treated like that. But how about finding another option? Instead of putting them through that psychological trauma within the school premise, within the national and international community. Even if they are in the school, still there's that tag on them that they wouldn't feel comfortable. You see, so, and when the issue happened, so many people contacted me for interviews, I turned them down. I decided to go back and be in the shoes of the parents. So if I'm a parent like that, how would I handle that? See, so sometimes we need to look at the other side as well. Yes, you will decide to raise your parent to become a mechanic or an engineer, and he decides to play football or weave baskets or whatsoever. Like senior man Kofi Bedema said, let's find a way to guide them to find their path that will benefit them meaningfully. We don't have to say, okay, I want him to or her to be this way, so we have to stick to that. On the issue of the alphabet community, I'm a Rasta man, so automatically, I'm sure you guys know where I belong.
Yes.
I can't pretend about it. But I also try to understand them on their choice. My issue is, it's your choice, fine, but don't force it on me.
Exactly.
That's my conviction. Okay. And when you go back into history, all these things were highlighted by slave trade. It was slave trade that actually amplified these things, where the most stubborn slaves are brought outside and another stubborn male is supposed to do that sexually, and it was like a fun to the slave masters. So yes, from Adam these things were happening, but it was amplified during that era. So you see, now fast forward, Africa has been colonized or damaged to the point that okay, people have to live in squatters in the ghettos. So some of these acts were directly and indirectly happening where people didn't have good homes, good parenting. So the kids were exposed to so many of these things. So you see, that's how it happened. Okay. And now this community, they are the ones having the resources, the money and everything. So they come to Africa, they go to the beaches where they see these vulnerable children and they engage them. They go to the communities where they are less privileged. They give them things that they think they desire and they indoctrinate them. I'm not disrespecting them, but these are the things that are happening in our communities. The movies on the big satellite channels are sponsored by these people. So we as Africans, what we believe in, that is if you believe in what we believe in as Africans or your conviction, let's amplify that and teach our children those values as well. If they decide to change their mind when they grow up, like Sapoma said, okay, this is what I believe in, this is my conviction. And once you're in my jurisdiction, you can do that. If you go elsewhere, you can do it. Not to say that I condone or endorse what you are doing, but within my premise, I wouldn't allow it. And that's fine, that's understandable. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, as I said, all that goes up must certainly come down. We're wrapping up, and thanks to you all, which I'm counting with about 14. There's supposed to be a 15th person, but I decided to be down there and sleep. Please, I don't know who that person is. Don't tell me who that person is. Please. No.
This kind of trouble I am not one.
Leave that one man alone.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
This guy's so powerful. That's really important.
Well, yeah, I'm called Diego. All right, so it's been fun, as you can tell. So we're wrapping up, and thank you very much for being part of this exciting reunion of the Unscripted series. Thank you guys. You are very supportive. Thank you very much. You've been around for quite a long time. We shared your views, your 2 cents, and the discussion that we had. A very critical conversation we've had on what makes a good parent in our modern times. And it's quite difficult, not to be underestimated at all. I mean, there's a huge task on our necks to carry. But we're hoping that the good Lord up there would also help us and guide us to take good care of our children and make them that responsible people for our families, our community, and the world at large.